Hey guys, Ite1 Semi, I'm back, baby! Part 2! I haven't figured out a title for this series. I'm gonna let you comment down below on a title for this series. My last series, Love in a Foreign Land, and I was thinking of a title for this series is as the girl trap or the P-word trap. I don't want to, because this is a family-friendly channel, so I don't want to use that. But I want to say the trap. How men get caught. I think that's going to be the title here. Comment below. Let me know what you think. So I think it's going to be the trap. How to not get caught in the trap. So last time we left, we talked about my friend Tim, an American, very knowledgeable about the cultures of Southeast Asia. At this point, he's been living in Southeast Asia for 20 years, divorced from a Korean girl. So he understands cross-cultural relationships. He's not a 20-year-old army guy. At this point, he's in his late 30s, I'm gonna say. I don't know his age. I'm gonna say late 30s, okay? Yeah, because again, he arrived here when he was in the military, young guy, so he had to be in his 20s, and it's been 20 years, so I'm gonna say he's in his late 30s. So, Tim is now traveling. He's early retirement from the military on benefits, so he's doesn't have to work. He's enjoying his lifestyle here in Korea. But he needs a change, which, to my point, I got a story coming up for you guys about me and the changes that are going to be happening to me in the next year. There's some serious things going on, and I'm going to talk about that. What is that? The cats have been ripping the wallpaper. Anyway, I'm going to get to that story later on this month as well. So Tim is off to the Philippines, and he's an avid diver. So he's diving. He's working at a dive shop there. At this point, no, he's not working at a dive shop. He's just traveling. So he's just enjoying getting away from Korea. It's 2017. And he meets this girl named Steffi, not her real name. We'll just use, that's the name he chose, just to keep the story straight. Steffi. So, she's 23 at this point. He's in his mid-30s. So there's 10, 12 years difference, I'm going to say. Steffi's single, never been married, no kids. She was engaged twice. I'm not exactly sure of the time frame here, but what Tim has told me is the first time her fiance was with her they met on vacation in Thailand, or something happened and he got sick, and they went back to the Philippines, and then he went back to Australia to see his doctor, and it turns out that he had stage 4 cancer and died a month later. Really sad story, but that happened the first time. So around that same time that she loses her fiance, Steffi's father is sick and ends up in the hospital, and he ends up dying from lung cancer just 2 months later. Now, because her and her fiance never married, she never got his pension or any benefits, just what he had left behind in the Philippines, a house, a car, some motorcycles, whatever cash was in the bank. So she had that. So here's where the story takes a little bit of a cultural turn. And I'm not commenting about society or anything like that. I'm just commenting about the realities of life in Southeast Asia, especially in countries like the Philippines, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, all those countries. This is the reality. This is the truth. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that this is what happens, okay? the culture is much different. And you might think you understand the culture being outside of the country, but meeting expats is not the same as living in the country. So that's one thing I'm going to say. Just because you live in Canada or England and you meet Filipino people doesn't mean you understand Filipino culture. I'm just going to leave it at that. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me. This is my opinion, and it's based on my 40 years of traveling. All right, so first fiance dies, or second fiance, I'm not sure. Let's get into the story a little bit later. I need to get into the details of this. Sorry. It's such a long story, I forgot most of it. So that's why I took notes here. Okay. So she lost her fiance, she lost her father, and here's what happened. And why I'm talking about it going in a different direction. So to avoid having to become a lady of the night, she sells everything that, she had with the fiance, the car, the engagement ring, anything else of value, so that she does not lose face with her family. Okay? One of the things about the South Asian culture is it's called saving face, your honor. Okay? So in front of her family and the people of the village and the town and the community, she has to seem to be that higher level. She cannot afford to lose that status, because once you gain the status, it's very difficult to get it back. If you got to keep that status. Keeping up with the Kardashians. I mean, come on. Most of you understand what that means. So between the time her fiance died and before her father died, that 2 or 3 months, the bills started piling up for her father, and she doesn't have any money left. So the only option she has at this point is she is going to become a lady of the night. Her first night at work, a guy comes along, sweeps off her feet, offers to pay her father's hospital debt and help build a house for her family, in the province, which, from those of you who understand, it's, Jungle Island. She's happy. This guy doesn't want to see her in the bar, wants to help her. She doesn't want to work in the bar, so moves in with him, and everything is fine. And here's where, I want to take a step back, not to this story, but in general. Never fall in love with the bartender or the waitress or anywhere. They're in the business to entertain you. At a bar in the West, the bartender flirts with you, the waitress flirts with you because they live on tips. They're going to be nice to you. But in real life, no, it's not going to happen. Number two, especially in Southeast Asia, these ladies of the night, they're there to get your money. In 99% of the times, that's what's happening. So to meet someone in the club or in the bar or in the the lady bars, that relationship is doomed from the very beginning, because you're both coming from different ideas of where the relationship began and ends. So it's very complex, and there's a whole series I can do on this. But here in the nutshell, what happened next was everything seemed fine until he cheated on her. And she finds out, and he takes off. So now she has to go back to the bar, back to work to pay the bills. She takes out a mortgage against her house because it's already paid for. Something like, Tim is telling me $35,000 US. Low interest, loan has to be paid back in 10 years. Then she rents the house out to a foreigner and his Filipino wife. She rents the house out for them for $300 a month, and they cover utilities. Pretty good for her, paying the mortgage. So she has a small apartment in the town that she lives in, and is working to provide her family money back in the Jungle Island, where she's from, with an income. Keep in mind that Steffi is the only major breadwinner for her entire family. I mean, obviously her family works, but they don't make the kind of money that she does. So here's where that story starts to go. Okay, so you can see where Steffi is at 23. You know, where she's going, what her life is all set. So she is the breadwinner for her family. And I'm going to get into that in part 3. Okay, so you've learned about Tim. You've learned about Steffi's backstory. Now, part 3 will be, I'm going to develop a little bit more about Steffi, and then part 4 will be where they meet up. Okay, so Itaewon Sammy, living life. I'm out.